There's one threat to your sales success that's more dangerous than bad leads, economic downturns, or even terrible products. It's invisible, it's insidious, and it's probably destroying your income right now without you even knowing about it. I'm Jessen James, and after generating over 22 million in sales and training thousands of salespeople worldwide, I'll tell you that this is the single biggest threat that has killed more sales career than anything else combined. And it's not what you think. It's not your competition. It's not your pricing. It's not your market. It's not even your sales skill. The number one threat is to your sales success is something that lives inside your own head. And it's been sabotaging your results from day one. Today, I'm going to expose this threat and show you exactly how it's destroying your sales potential and give you the tools to eliminate it forever. Because until you defeat this enemy, nothing else you learn about sales will actually matter. So what is this number one threat to your sales success? It's your inner critic. That voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that tells you you don't deserve success, that you're going to fail, that people won't like you, that you're bothering prospects, and that you're not cut out for sales. Look, as a former psychiatric nurse, I've seen how destructive negative self-talk can be. In the hospital, I worked with patients whose inner critic was so loud and so vicious that it completely paralyzed them. They couldn't make decisions, they couldn't take action, they couldn't move forwards with their lives, right? And the same things happen in sales. Your inner critic whispers things like, they're going to say no anyway, so why bother? You're not experienced enough to charge that much. They'll probably think you're just another pushy salesperson. You're going to mess this up like you always do. And here's the insidious part. You don't even realize it's happening. This negative self-talk runs in the background of your mind like a computer virus, quietly sabotaging your confidence, your energy, and your results. Your inner critic affects everything: how you approach prospects, how you present your offers, how you handle objections, how you ask for the sale, how you follow up. It's just like having a saboteur on your sales team who's working against you 24/7. But here's what most people don't understand. Your inner critic isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. It's your brain's primitive survival mechanism trying to keep you safe from rejection, embarrassment, and failure. The problem is, in sales, playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can actually do. Let me show you exactly how your inner critic is sabotaging your sales success. There are 7 specific ways that your internal enemy destroys your results. Number 1, prospecting paralysis. Your inner critic tells you they don't want to hear from you. You're bothering them. They're too busy for someone like you. So you procrastinate on prospecting, you make fewer calls, you send fewer emails, and you avoid getting the activities that lead to leads, right? I had a client who was supposed to make 50 prospecting calls a day, but was only making 12. When we dug deeper, we discovered his inner critic was telling him these people are successful business owners, they don't have time for you. His fear of bothering them was actually destroying his pipeline. Okay? Sabotage number 2, weak positioning. Your inner critic says, who are you to charge premium prices? You're not experienced enough. They'll think you're too expensive. So you position yourself as the budget option, you apologize for your prices, and you compete on cost instead of value. This is deadly because when you position yourself as cheap, prospects assume you're cheap for a reason. They question your quality, your expertise, and your results. Okay? Sabotage number 3, tentative presentations. What does that mean? Your inner critic whispers, they're not going to be interested in this. You're going to look stupid. You're going to sound stupid. They know more than you do. So your presentations become tentative, apologetic, and unconvincing. Your voice lacks confidence, your body language screams uncertainty, and your energy is just flat. Prospects can feel this uncertainty, and it makes them feel uncertain about buying from you. Sabotage number 4, weak objection handling. When prospects object, your inner critic says, see, I told you they wouldn't buy. You're just not good enough to overcome this. Just give up now. So you just fold at the first objection. You don't push back appropriately and you let the deal slip away. Okay? Number 5, closing cowardice. Your inner critic screams, don't ask for the sale. They'll say no, you're being pushy. They'll think you're desperate. So you dance around the close, you hint at the next steps, but you never actually ask for the business. I've seen salespeople do the perfect presentations and then completely screw it up when it comes to the close because of their inner critic. Their inner critic convinced them that asking for the sale will ruin a relationship, so they don't. Sabotage number 6, follow-up failure. After your presentation, your inner critic says they're not interested, you're annoying to them. If they wanted to, they would have said yes, blah, 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 okay? So you don't follow up with them consistently. You give up too early and you let a hot lead go away, right? Sabotage number 7, success sabotage. This is the most destructive one. When you do have success, your inner critic says you don't deserve this. It was just luck. You're going to lose it all anyway. So you unconsciously sabotage your own success to avoid the fear of losing it. I've seen salespeople have their best month and then completely fall apart the next month because the inner critic convinced them that they didn't deserve it. Okay? Now look, I want you guys to get this stuff into your head, right? Where does this inner critic come from anyway? And why is it so powerful? Well, look, understanding the psychology behind it is the first step to defeating it. Your inner critic is formed in childhood by criticism, rejection, negative experience. Maybe a teacher told you weren't smart enough. Maybe your parents told you that you wouldn't amount to anything. Maybe you were rejected by your peers, or you failed at something important, or experienced some kind of trauma. These experiences create what psychologists call core wounds, deep beliefs about yourself that shape who you are and how you see the world. Common core wounds include I'm not good enough, I don't matter, I'm not lovable, I'm not safe, I can't trust anyone. And your inner critic is your wounded child trying to protect you from experiencing those painful feelings again. It thinks that if you keep playing small, you keep safe. If you keep from taking risks, then you won't get hurt again, right? Here's the problem though. Your inner critic is operating from outdated information. It's using childhood data to protect you from dangers that don't exist anymore. Well, look, this is literally sabotaging your success and sabotaging things that could transform your life. In sales, your inner critic manifests what I call rejection sensitivity. You become so afraid of being rejected that you avoid various activities that would lead to actual success because you don't want to get rejected, okay? So look, this is why some of the most talented people never reach their potential. It's not because they lack ability, it's because their inner critic convinces them that they're not capable of greatness. So how do you defeat this internal enemy? Well, how do you silence the voice that's been sabotaging your success? Here's my 5-step process for conquering your inner critic, okay? Step number 1, awareness. Look, you can't defeat an enemy that you can't see. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. What does your inner critic say before and during your sales calls? What does it say after your presentations? What does it say after rejections? Write it all down, get it out of your head onto paper where you can examine it objectively. Step 2, challenge. Once you're aware of what your inner critic's saying, start challenging it. Ask, is this actually true? Where is the evidence to support this belief? How is this thought helping me? What would I tell a friend who had this thought in their head? Most of the time, you'll discover that your inner critic statements are either completely false or grossly exaggerated, okay? Step 3, reframe. Replace your inner critic's negative statements with empowering ones instead. Instead of they're going to say no, try I'm going to help them make the best decision for their situation. Instead of I'm not experienced enough, try I have a very unique value to offer, okay? Now, step number 4, evidence collection. Start collecting evidence that contradicts your inner critic. Keep a success journal. Write down every positive outcome, every compliment, every sale, every small win. When your inner critic attacks, you'll have ammunition to fight back. Step number 5, action despite fear. Look, this is the most important step. Take action when your inner critic is screaming at you to stop. Make the call anyway, even when you're nervous. Ask for the sale, even when you're scared. Follow up, even when you're worried about being annoying or being rejected, okay? Every time you act despite your inner critic's protests, you weaken its power over you. You prove to yourself that you can handle rejection, that you can survive failure, and that you're stronger than your fears. But here's the key insight from my psychiatric nursing background. You don't need to eliminate your inner critic completely. You just need to change your relationship with it. Instead of letting it drive the bus, you put it in the passenger seat, okay? When your inner critic speaks up, acknowledge it. Thanks for trying to protect me, but I've got this. And then take action anyway, okay? Look, I just want to help you to get this in your head, guys. I hope it's serving you. Now, let me give you a real example of how defeating the inner critic transforms someone's sales career. I had a client who was incredibly knowledgeable about his industry, but was only making about $40,000 a year in sales. When we started working together, I quickly identified the problem. His inner critic was absolutely vicious. It told him things like, you're not smart enough to work with big companies. They'll see right through you. You don't belong in the same room as these successful people. So not only was he only started to prospect small businesses and charging low prices and positioning himself as the budget option. Now, his inner critic had convinced him that he wasn't worthy of bigger opportunities. We worked through my 5-step process. We identified his inner critic's voice. We challenged his statements. We reframed the beliefs. We collected evidence of his expertise. And most importantly, we took action despite his fears. I made him start prospecting larger companies. His inner critic was screaming the whole time, but he did it anyway. The first few calls were terrifying for him, which is normal, but something amazing happened. These bigger companies were interested in what he had to offer. Within 6 months, he had landed 3 major clients and tripled his income. But the real transformation wasn't in his bank account. It was in his confidence. He finally saw himself as the expert he's always been. The breakthrough came when he realized that his inner critic had been lying to him for years. He was smart enough and experienced enough and valuable enough. He just needed to start believing it. So there you have it. The number one threat to your sales success is your own inner critic. That voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that you don't deserve it, that you don't deserve success, that you're going to fail. Yeah. But here's the good news. Unlike external threats that you can't control, this is one enemy you can defeat. You have the power to silence that negative voice and replace it with one that empowers you and that encourages you and drives you towards success. However, defeating your inner critic isn't just about mindset work. You also need practical sales skills to back up your new confidence. You need to know how to present powerfully, handle objections skillfully, and close confidently. And that's exactly what I teach in my Closing Incubator program. It's a 12-week intensive where we don't just work on your sales techniques, we work on your sales psychology. We identify your specific inner critic patterns, reprogram your limiting beliefs, and give you the practical skills to turn new confidence into actual results. Now look, I've used these psychological insights to generate over 22 million in sales personally, and my clients have gone on to generate over 200 million using the exact same methods. So look, if you're tired of being held back by your inner critic, if you're ready to silence that negative voice and unleash your true sales potential, comment critic below and I'll send you my complete inner critic assessment. It will help you identify the specific ways your inner critic is sabotaging your success right now. And if you're super serious about defeating your inner critic and transforming your sales results, then let's have a sensible conversation about the Closing Incubator. Please remember though, your biggest competition isn't out there in the market. It's the voice in your head telling you that you can't win. Defeat that voice and you'll become truly, truly unstoppable.